Saiyan Rose Goku Black.
Somewhere in the dimensional world. Oh no, I'm lost. The Saiyan shouted in worry, holding his head with both hands. Goku didn't know what to do at that moment and thought, what do I do now? The Saiyan started looking all around to see if there was a way out. But the Saiyan couldn't find anything. Darn it! The Saiyan shouted in desperation, and scolded himself mentally for his stupidity. I knew it was a bad idea to release 10% of my power as a Super Saiyan. Now I have to wait for a dimensional hole to open or... At that moment, the Saiyan remembered that he had a very important ability in case something like this happened. It's true. I have the ability to open dimensional holes, although I never tried it since I couldn't use it in that place. But then he got worried when he thought about something. I hope I reach where Vegeta is, and not some unknown place. When Goku said that, he thought he was going to a world where there was a red-haired girl who harassed him all the time, doing it along with her demon clan. When the Saiyan thought about that, he felt a small shiver down his spine. And with a little fear, he said, I hope it's not that world, for all that you love, omniversal God. After getting over the previous thought, Goku snapped his fingers, and out of nowhere a dimensional portal appeared. Please, let this portal take me to where Vegeta is, said a Saiyan, worried and nervous about what might happen. And so Goku entered the dimensional portal, not knowing which world he was going to. Meanwhile, on another planet similar to Earth, a girl with pink hair could be seen, hugging a particular boy. Rito, let's have fun at the mall, said the pink-haired girl while still hugging the boy. We can't, classes aren't over yet. And also, stop hugging me. The girl let go of him, just to say, then after classes. Heavens, you're so carefree, Lala, Rito said with a face full of suffering. Lala ignored the boy's suffering and said excitedly, so, shall we go? No. Absolutely not. Rito shouted angrily at Lala. Why, Rito? Lala said, not knowing why Rito was angry. Rito looked at Lala with eyes that said not to play innocent. But that wasn't enough, because Rito shouted the following with great anger. Did you forget what happened last time we went? Lala, upon hearing that, remembered what had happened, and with an amused smile she said, but that was just a little accident. Rito, upon hearing what Lala said, began to wonder whether she was truly a senseless idiot, or just plain stupidity. But he quickly stopped thinking about it, since he still hadn't responded to the Devolukian princess and wasn't about to do so politely. You're joking. You destroyed half the shopping mall with just one hit. And all over a stuffed animal that said Life Guardian Protector and stuff like that. Lala, hearing what happened and seeing how her fiancé was complaining about what he did, could only laugh nervously. He. After saying all that, Rito was finally able to calm down and apologized, in his own way. It's true that you are the daughter of the god of destruction, and that you are also a fan of that so-called guardian of everything, but you didn't have to use so much force over a damn stuffed animal. Lala, hearing Rito's response, defended herself as best as she could. Don't blame me, Rito, it's hard to control myself, but you have to remember that I like everything with the name Guardian. Rito sighed at the girl's response, and mentally said to himself, this girl, why doesn't she just marry that so-called guardian of everything and leave me alone already? But Rito was pulled out of his thoughts by the pink-haired girl. She was telling him something very important. But Rito, remember what my father said. Flashback. Child, if you don't make my daughter happy, I will destroy your insignificant planet, and I will wipe out all your loved ones from existence. The last part the father said in a voice that made Rito wet his pants. End flashback. I think, that's what he said. Lala said with doubt, not clearly remembering what her father had said. On the other hand, Rito remembered perfectly what Lala's father had said. Since it was impossible not to feel fear when looking at the murderous gaze of a god, Rito had a scared look on his face as he remembered that, but he also had an expression of anger upon seeing that his fiancé was using his father as a threat. But what the pink-haired girl said next made him even angrier. So we're going to go, right? She said with a big smile, full of innocence. Seeing that, Rito had to swallow his pride and accept what the pink-haired girl had said. Great! But someday I will defeat your father, and then I'll never have to endure this again. Lala, upon hearing what Rito said, smiled, and then said, you know that will be impossible for you, since you are still a human, while for now, my father is a god of destruction. Everything Lala said was spoken without a trace of mercy. Rito became depressed upon hearing the cruel reality. But at least someone supported him in some way. But I will support you in everything I can, Lala said with a smile. Upon hearing that, Rito could only thank Lala, but he was still very depressed and even crying comically. But out of nowhere at that moment, the whole planet began to shake in an unimaginable way. Rito and everyone at the school were scared. What's happening? Is it an earthquake? Rito shouted, very frightened, clinging to Lala. Lala said nothing, but in her thoughts, she wondered one thing. Is this divine ki? Not only Lala could feel the divine energy, but also her younger sisters, who were at Rito's house, could feel that divine energy. Do you feel that ki, Nana? Momo asked, a little worried. Yes, I'm sorry, but this type of ki, only our family possesses it in this universe, or it's another god of destruction, or it's... When Nana was about to say the last part, she got scared thinking about that person. Momo, who heard what her sister said, also knew who she was referring to. The two quickly left the house and, at their maximum speed, went to where the divine energy was felt. Back with Lala and Rito. Lala, a little serious, grabbed Rito, and with her speed, they went out to the schoolyard. Rito was very confused about why Lala had taken him to the schoolyard. Why are we suddenly in the schoolyard, Lala? Rito said, very worried about what was happening at the moment. But Lala, trying to calm him down, answered his question. Isn't it obvious, Rito? It's to see who the person with that divine energy is, Lala said while looking at a specific place. Rito, being as clever as he is, complained about it instead of processing it. Do you think I would know about that? You never told me, Lala. Lala, hearing that, simply apologized to Rito. Oops, sorry, I forgot to tell you, Lala said while sticking out her tongue and closing one eye like a typical anime girl who forgets to mention the most important thing first. But at that moment, a portal opened in the sky, and an overwhelming pressure was felt throughout the school, or rather throughout the entire galaxy, causing the seas and planets of the entire galaxy to go out of control for a few seconds. I feel heavy, like I'm carrying a gigan. Rito didn't finish his sentence when he saw a person coming out of the portal at high speed, crashing into the schoolyard where Lala had predicted they would fall, creating a crater of colossal proportions, so huge that Lala had to carry Rito while starting to fly out of the impact area. When the planet had finally stopped shaking, and that immense pressure was no longer felt, the first thing everyone thought was, who was responsible for this massive destruction? What the heck happened, and who came out of that portal? Rito asked, worried and terrified, seeing all the damage it had caused. I don't know, Rito, but we will find out soon. But just as Lala said that, her sisters arrived. Oh, it seems my little sisters came too. One of the Lalas said, a little surprised but at the same time happy to see them. But it's Lala Nizan, and the pervert Rito? Said a surprised Nana. But just at that moment, someone's voice was heard from the crater. Oops, I didn't think a dimensional trip would be this rough, said the Scion, while looking at the mess he had caused. The pink-haired girls couldn't see who it was because a huge cloud of smoke was covering the person. Who are you? You're not a god of destruction, right? These were the questions they were trying to ask the Scion. But Goku was paying attention to other things, barely noticing that they were speaking to him. Ha? Are you talking to me? I asked Goku even while he was on the cloud of smoke. Well, who else are we asking? Nana said, a bit annoyed. Goku laughed a little upon hearing that. Hee hee, true, I forget that I'm the stranger here. Well, let me introduce myself. The cloud of dust was slowly disappearing, revealing only a guy with palm-shaped hair, alongside a face that reflected innocence and calm. Hello, my name is Son Goku, but you can just call me Goku, said the Scion with a kind smile. For some strange reason, the girls blushed at the Scion's innocent smile. He's so cute, Momo said with hearts in her eyes and a little blush. What are you saying, Momo? Said Nana as if she didn't feel the same. What's happening to me? Why does my heart beat so fast when I see that guy Goku? Thought Nana with spirals in her eyes from thinking about it so much. Lala didn't say anything, but she was blushing too, though a little more noticeably. And now what happened to those girls? Thought Goku, looking at the girls with confusion. But he was quickly interrupted by someone. Who the heck are you or what are you? It's impossible for a human to do everything you just did, said Rito, scared but trying to look brave. Narrator, I feel like killing Rito. Well, I'm a Scion who was raised on Earth. Goku said this with one hand on his chin. Scion? What kind of race is that? Rito asked, confused. A warrior race that invaded planets and evolved through fighting. Goku said as if he were a science teacher. But the two pink-haired girls, upon hearing a certain word, couldn't help but ask a question. Scion? Are you from the same race as Lord Vegeta? Answer us? That was what Momo and Nana asked the Scion, having gotten nervous upon hearing the term Scion. Since Goku didn't know why the girls reacted that way, he just said, "Wow, you guys know Vegeta," said Goku simply, while showing a smile. The pink-haired girls were in shock upon hearing the disrespect the Scion had shown. Are you crazy or what? You disrespected the king of everything in this multiverse, shouted Nana, very worried, and starting to look around everywhere out of concern. I agree with Nana, that simple act of disrespect could make this planet, or rather this whole universe, disappear, said Momo, supporting her sister, while shivering just thinking about Vegeta's gaze. Goku was confused by what the two pink-haired girls said and just replied, but if he also disrespects me, even being known as the Gooer. The Scion couldn't finish because he was silenced by Nana, who was already very angry. Shut up! Don't you understand that it doesn't matter what rank you have, Lord Vegeta is the supreme ruler of this multiverse, it doesn't matter how much prestige you have, or what rank you hold in this multiverse. Lord Vegeta will erase you from existence just for disrespecting him or, worse, if you make him angry. Nana said this in a very serious manner, as if all of it were of utmost importance. Goku was left speechless upon hearing that, and the only thing the Scion could think was, Vegeta, what the heck have you done in your multiverse for them to be so afraid of you? But out of nowhere, Goku was pulled from his thoughts by the girl's voice. Well, you should have already understood that Lord Vegeta should not be taken lightly. Now answer the question you never answered, Nana said, referring to whether he was a Scion. Goku, understanding what Nana meant, simply replied with yes, I'm a pure-blooded Scion. Both of them were left in shock upon hearing the Scion's statement. Goku was only more confused about why there was so much surprise. Seriously, Vegeta, you have to tell me what you did to these poor girls. The Scion thought, not knowing that he would have the answer in a few moments. Momo noticed how confused Goku was when he saw them react that way. Sorry for those reactions, but we have a certain memory that makes us know how terrifying Lord Vegeta and the Scion race can be, Momo said to the confused Scion. But upon hearing that, Goku was now even more curious about the matter. Could you tell me what happened? The Scion said, very interested, while showing a calm and warm smile. Narrator, Goku knows how to use his powers. Unable to say no to that smile, Momo began to tell the story. Flashback. 3 little girls with pink hair could be seen, talking with their father about a common topic. Is there really someone stronger than you, Daddy? Said little Lala with eyes full of surprise. If there is someone stronger than me, my little one, he is known as the creator and the supreme being of this multiverse, the one who makes the gods of destruction tremble. The great king of all, Vegeta. His power is on another level, beyond my comprehension, said the father of the 3 girls with great respect and admiration toward Vegeta. But all of that went to hell with what his daughters said next. Vegetal? Could it be a giant vegetable? Asked Momo. His name is the most ridiculous of all the names I've ever heard in my life, said Nana while trying not to laugh. Vegetal. Vegetal, shouted Lala while laughing at the name. The father, upon hearing how his daughters were mocking the name of his superior, began to tremble with fear. Silence, daughters. If Lord Vegeta finds out you called him Vegetal. Jin started sweating non-stop thinking about what could happen. But he continued with what he was going to say. I could destroy this entire universe, or worse, erase us from existence without any mercy. He said the last part with a face that showed the total fear he felt towards the prince. The girls were a little surprised at how their father was acting just because someone had made fun of the name of the king of everything. Dad, is he really that bad? Momo asked, not knowing what was about to happen. Her father was going to answer, but he couldn't say anything upon hearing a voice. Well, Jin, I didn't know your daughter's little brats were this disrespectful, said the famous prince of the Scions with some anger. Sir Vegeta, shouted the one now known as Jin. In the blink of an eye, Jin knelt in front of the king of all. Please forgive my stupid daughters, Sir Vegeta, said Jin, very terrified of what might happen to them. Vegeta looked at the 3 girls with a deadly stare, unleashing a tremendous murderous instinct, making the little ones start to cry for their lives, knowing they could die at any moment. Their father, who was watching the scene, was just sweating more and began begging for forgiveness. Please, I beg you, Lord Vegeta, don't kill them. I will do anything so you don't hurt them, I will endure the consequences if necessary. Just, don't kill them, Jin said, on the verge of breaking down as he saw Vegeta remain silent. He didn't know if he himself could bear the death of his daughters. But he was quickly calmed upon hearing the following. I won't kill them, Jin. I know you have done a great job as the god of destruction, so I will only give you a punishment for your daughter's disrespect, Vegeta said, looking seriously at Jin. Thank you very much, Lord Vegeta. Jin shouted for joy while crying a little upon knowing that her daughters would be fine. But not everything was rosy when Vegeta said the following. Well Jin, I'll tell you your punishment right away so I don't have to tell you later. Upon hearing this, Jin closed her eyes and awaited the punishment that was about to be given to her. Jin was prepared for any kind of punishment. She didn't care if she had to die to protect her daughters. Just knowing that her daughters would be okay made her happy. But the punishment he mentioned as a scion he never expected. Take better care of your brats. The time you spend with them will be very important, Vegeta said seriously. Ha! Is that the punishment? Jin said, very surprised, still unable to believe it. Yes, any problem, Jin, Vegeta said coldly while releasing his god aura. Seeing that he had made Vegeta angry, Jin said nervously. And no, Lord Vegeta, there's no problem. Vegeta calmed down and simply said, alright, I've done what I had to do here, I'm getting out of here. Vegeta was about to leave, but was stopped by Jin. Wait, Mr. Vegeta, I would like to ask you why that punishment. If it's not too much trouble for you, of course, said Jin, sweating more as he saw that he interrupted him just as he was about to leave. Vegeta remained silent upon hearing the question. Jin was starting to get very nervous, thinking about what he had done to make the Scion angry. I had a family when I was immortal. I know what it feels like to lose someone very important in your family. I've seen my family disappear before my eyes without being able to do anything to save them, and even after millions of years, I still miss them, Vegeta said, a little melancholic as he remembered the past. Jin was surprised, and the girls were in shock upon hearing what Vegeta said. But I have to admit something, if it weren't for that damn Kakarot, I would never have had that family, Vegeta said, trying to contain his pride. Kakarot? Asked a very curious Jin. Vegeta looked at him and let out a small sigh before saying the following. Kakarot is a pure-blooded Scion like me, and he is also the rival I can never surpass. The girls who were listening to the conversation from afar, out of fear, heard the word Scion, and out of pure curiosity, one of them went to ask about it. But obviously, she was very scared to ask, thinking they might kill her. Still, gathering courage, she timidly went and said, A question, Mr. Vegeta. Lala was trembling with fear as she said that, on the verge of crying. But luckily, she received an answer. And what would the question be, brat? Said Vegeta, with a piercing look and a tone of coldness. Lala fell to the ground at that gaze, about to cry. Seeing that, Jin went to hug her daughter. Calm down, daughter, don't cry, Papa is here, Jin said warmly. Lala was calming down and answered Vegeta's question. What is a Scion, Lord Vegeta? She was still scared, but her father gave her confidence. Alright, little rascal, I'll tell you a little story, so pay attention because I'll only say it once, Vegeta said seriously. Lala nodded her head at what was said. Alright, the Scions were. And so Vegeta explained what a Scion was, and all the adventures and battles he had with the Scion. Nana and Momo also joined in to listen to the story. And that's all you need to know for now, said Vegeta, finishing the story. So the strongest of you two right now is? Momo asked, curious to know. And Vegeta quickly answered. Obviously, the strongest right now is me, Vegeta said proudly. But someone contradicted Vegeta. I say it's Kakarot, shouted Lala angrily. Kakarot is just a low-class insect, he'll never be stronger than me, Vegeta said in self-defense. But Lala, upon hearing that, got angry seeing that he wouldn't admit it. But you yourself said he was number one. Little Lala became a fan of the Scion upon hearing about the feats he accomplished. But she only knew his name was Kakarot because Vegeta always called him that. When I said that, insect, I never said it, Vegeta said again, trying to defend himself. Yes, of course, in the stories you told, it's obvious that you are weaker than Lord Kakarot, Lala said while looking at Vegeta with hatred. Are you insulting me, you damn snot-nosed brat? Vegeta shouted angrily upon hearing that. Lala simply stuck her tongue out at Vegeta, and the prince got even angrier seeing that, and so Vegeta started chasing Lala around the castle. Everyone had a bead of sweat on their heads watching that. But someone asked Vegeta while he was chasing Lala. Now that I think about it. Lord Vegeta, where is this Kakarot guy? Is he some kind of ruler too? Momo asked, very curious to know where the Scion was now. Vegeta stopped chasing Lala and quickly responded. He is not entirely a king, nor entirely a god. He is currently the legendary guardian of everything of the legends. Jin was left in a state that couldn't be described by that revelation. TT, the guardian of everything. Jin shouted at the top of his lungs. The guardian of everything? Is he someone important? Momo asked, not knowing who he was since she hadn't heard the story. Girl, the guardian of everything has almost the same authority as the omniversal god, and his power should be beyond our imagination. Vegeta said seriously, as it was a serious matter. The three girls heard that, and each one's reaction was different. One fainted, another was in complete shock, and the last one was very happy. Vegeta just watched the reactions in silence, while Jin still couldn't believe it. But one, a simple question, caused her father to fall into a coma and left everyone in shock. Daddy, in the future can I marry the almighty guardian? Asked a small, innocent Lala. Meanwhile, everyone screamed so loudly that it could be heard across the entire universe. Narrator, the innocence of children can surprise many. End flashback. And that's why we are very afraid of Lord Vegeta, along with discovering that the guardian of all was imprisoned, and that no one knew when he could come out, said Momo, with a finger on her chin. Goku listened to most of the story but got distracted at times to look at the world he was in. Yes, and for that reason our sister was depressed for a few days upon learning that her hero was gone, said Nana simply. But it surprises me that Lalanizan still likes the guardian of all after so much time, said Momo, curious. Well, you know, Lalanizan, from the moment she heard about the exploits of the guardian of everything, she went on to get anything related to that supreme god, said Nana, recalling those moments. Momo laughed a little remembering it too, but they were interrupted by a voice that caught both of their attention. Hey, could you call V? Lord Vegeta? I don't know where I am, hee, said Goku, laughing nervously. We can't. The only one who can communicate with Lord Vegeta is our father, the god of destruction, said Momo, unaware that she had triggered something inside the Scion. Your father is the god of destruction, you could ask him to have a fight with me, said Goku excitedly. You're crazy or you're an idiot. You know my father would kill you in just a second with that low power you have. Nana shouted angrily. Note, Goku lowered his power because he didn't want to destroy the entire planet with the energy he was releasing before. Goku was going to say something to explain why his level was low, but he didn't finish when he heard someone. Hey! Could you repair the yard? I'm sure it's going to take too long to fill that huge crater. Rito shouted so they could hear him. The girls were going to say that they didn't have that power, but suddenly the Scion snapped his fingers, and then they saw how the yard returned to its original state. Done, said the Scion, smiling. The girls were in shock seeing that. Who the heck are you? The two girls said, still shocked. Goku didn't respond, as he was thinking about something very important. I want to fight your father, but you don't want to call him. I'll have to convince you somehow, but how? But the Scion was pulled out of his thoughts by one of the sisters. She was very angry for being ignored, and with a lot of anger, she asked him again. The Scion was going to respond out of fear, but an idea came to his mind that could help him have a fight against the pink-haired girl's father. I won't tell you until I get a fight against your father, said Goku with a defiant smile. Nana, who was already tired of the Scion's nonsense, was about to shout that it was impossible for him to fight her father. But she was quickly interrupted by the person she least expected. I accept, I will call my father to tell him that someone wants to challenge him to a battle, Lala said without hesitating for a second about what she said. Are you serious, Lalanizan? Momo asked, surprised. I'm serious, Momo. For some reason, I want to know who this person known as Son Goku is. Goku exploded with excitement upon hearing what Lala said, and suddenly the Scion grabbed Lala's hands. Goku began to thank her with great happiness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, said Goku, smiling with the happiness he felt. For a very strange reason, Lala blushed when she saw that the Scion was holding her hands. But a person who was very close noticed it and thought, is Lala blushing? Is she really not sick? Rito wondered for a few seconds before shaking his head and telling himself, but why should I worry about her if I love Haruna-chan? The best thing would be for this guy to stay with Lala so that she doesn't bother me anymore with her schemes and I can be with Haruna-chan. Rito seemed very happy at the thought of the possibility of being freed from Lala. Narrator, the creator wants to kill Rito. Meanwhile, as Rito was thinking that, Goku was still thanking Lala. Thank you. Thank you. Really, thank you so much, Lala. Unknowingly, the Scion was making the pink-haired girl blush more with each second he held her hands. This is dash. Lala tried to say something, but her nerves were at their limit. Goku looked at the girl with a confused face and walked closer to see if she was okay. Lala now had spirals in her eyes with how close the Scion was. But with all the courage she could muster, she said, "See, could you let go of my hand, please?" Lala was looking the other way when she said that. Goku, with a confused expression, let go of the pink-haired girl's hands, and then asked, "So, when could you call your father?" The girl responded more calmly, "I can do it after CLA." But she didn't finish upon hearing a lot of people arriving at the place. "What happened here, Lala?" asked an alarmed student council president. "Are you two okay?" I asked the famous Haruna, the girl that Rito loves. But at that moment when everyone arrived at the place, they were able to see the Scion. At that moment, the girls' hearts practically exploded in their eyes, causing the Scion to have to fly away from the place along with the two pink-haired girls. The girls, seeing the Scion leave, were surprised and saddened to see their prince depart. Lala, who had stayed because she still had classes, had a lost look as she watched the Scion leave, along with a slight blush. In her mind, she wondered, "Why do I feel like I need him, as if he were someone very important to me?" Lala wondered as she still looked at the place where the Scion had gone. The end.